The live button.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of Keep the Mic On. I am Simply Sherry. And if you have been with us before or this is your first time here, you know we've been here since the start of the quarantine with a conversation with an artist of varying disciplines. My week is third week of the month, and it's called From Behind the Microphone, where we take time to get to know the poet, the person behind the poet. Even though I don't always interview poets, that's another thing for another day. Um, Sorry, I'm forgetting something. We're here every week. We're women owned.
It's the
Women.
time zone switch.
It's
Yeah.
the time zone switch. I was traveling this week. My brain is still, I think, on the West Coast. Um, so please,
Your mind is still on vacation. Is that what that
my
is?
mind is still on vacation. And the crazy part is that I came back and went back to work already, and my mind is still on vacation. So. So everyone, please sit back, relax, enjoy, and get us on the live stream. If you are joining us on YouTube, please take this moment to like and subscribe. Every little bit helps, and we would appreciate it. I'm going to we have a fourth host, Charity Blackwell. When she appears, her week is called
Art Plus Therapy.
Thank you. I told y'all I'm still on vacation. Art Plus Therapy, where she talks to artists about how they leverage their art for healing for themselves and for others. But for now, I'm going to kick it to the one, the only, the first Black poet laureate of Alexandria, Virginia, Kaniki Jakarta.
Hello. This is the perfect time for me to tell you to go get your mama and them because we have an awesome interview tonight. I know I say that every week, but I don't be lying because clearly it's fire every week. My name is Kaniki Jakarta. Sherry already told you that I am happily serving a term as the first Black poet laureate of Alexandria, Virginia. My week is called Poets and Platforms, where I talk to poets who have platforms for the arts, not necessarily poets, but poetry, but any artistic form of art. This month, I have a special week. Usually I'm fourth week, but I'll be back next week instead because we're going to take a break for the Thanksgiving holidays. And let me take the opportunity to say now, please support us with your cash donations so that we can keep the mic on at Cash App and Patreon. Keep the mic on. And please follow us on all social medias. Keep the mic on. I'm going to kick it to your fantastic, amazing, beautiful, talented hostess of this week, where she's going to introduce herself and introduce the artist. They don't call her the girl genius for nothing. Give it up for Danielle Ring.
Woot woot.
Hi, y'all. I'm not on mute anymore. Okay, fine. Hi, everybody. I am Danielle Reed, also known as Girl Genius. This is my week. It is called Let's Talk About the ... Typically books, but I have some stuff in store for you guys for next season, so I'm excited. This week, I am super duper excited to have this guest in here, and I am about to introduce him. Our special guest for this week is ding, ding, ding. Look at you. This is Harvey Fitz, everybody, and he's got a book I cannot wait to dig into. So what I am going to do is I am going to drop a little bit of your bio, and then like I said, I'm gonna take a step back and let you tell them who you are. Okay. So Harvey is the author of a book called "To Haiku It May Concern: Living Your Best Life Even When Mercury is in Retrograde," which I absolutely dig this title, and we're definitely going to talk haiku in a minute. He is a graduate of Virginia State. He has a BA in Mass Comm, radio and television production, lives in the DC area, is a freelance photographer. We'll talk about that too. Theatrically trained actor, spoken word artist, photographs concerts, events, notable figures, and is passionate about documenting people in everyday life. Has written and performed spoken word for over 10 years and has been acting ever since early childhood. He's part of a small group of students and professors at VSU that have revived its theater organization and program And as a result, his alma mater is ranked among the top HBCUs for studies in the arts in his free time. He can be found at the local library, lost in the book, at a festival, farmer's market with his Canon DSLR shooting guerrilla style. You sound like my type of person. I love you. That's me. I think my bio says, for real, my bio says, if you can't find me, I'm in the corner reading a book, plotting world domination. So everybody give a warm welcome to Harvey Fitz. Like I said, I'm going to step out. It's all you.
Wow. When I was a kid, I wanted to be the Black Captain Planet. I wanted to be able to dance like Michael and run away with Janet. I also wanted to communicate with animals like Dr. Dolittle. I'm a sucker for a bad joke and a really good riddle. Like, have you ever heard the one about the goofy hood nerd with the self-loathing microaggressions? He's sitting in front of you right now, slightly regretting that confession. Instead of sheep, at night I lay awake counting my blessings. You see, I finally learned to get rid of self-doubt and to stop second-guessing. My dreams were in utero and in danger of not coming into fruition until I snapped out of it and aborted those toxic decisions, making my way downtown, walking fast, seeing blasts from the past. But it's new heights that I'm climbing now. Hi, my name is Harvey. How are you? For those of you who still have no idea who the heck I am, my name is Harvey Fitz. I am a creative by profession, thankfully to God. And I finally decided to become proactive in my destiny and get out of my way and get to bringing into fruition all of the good things that I was put on this planet to do. One of whom which is to author books. And one of those books would definitely be my first one, which is To Haiku May Concern, Living Your Best Life, Even When Mercury's in Retrograde. It is a long time coming, and it is a collection of haiku that I've written over the many years and brought together. For those of you who've ever seen Being Mary Jane, remember how she would have those yellow sticky notes all over her bedroom wall and her bathroom mirror? These are basically all of them put into one book, and it is my offering to the literary world.
I'm cracking up at this. This is your first book?
Yes, this is my first book. Yes.
Awesome sauce. When did you just released this book? Yes.
Just released this book last month. Just released this book. Yeah.
I was like, I feel like this was within the last like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. I really am.
I was just about to ask you how you feel.
Everybody's
weird about their first book. How do you feel?
It's like, and it's funny because you see other interviews like this and people say like, oh, my songs are like my kids or my art is like my kid. Like literally, this was a very dramatic birth. It really was. Because I in fact did release this book and was in the final stages of releasing this book, dead smack in the middle of the last retrograde of the year. And everything that comes along with that came along with that. And Whew.
Everything that could go went.
Everything that could go went and brought friends and had extra room for others. It was a lot. It was a lot. But I'm thankful that I stuck with it. And I'm thankful that it is here.
Believe me when I tell you that I understand that. I feel that way too hard because I want to say that my first poetry book came at the back end of a breakup. Like I want to say this was like years ago, but I want to say it came at the back end of a breakup. So like everything that you could feel at the same time, and then trying to do a book just wasn't working for my life.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, like all the angry wants to come out, but the book's already like ready to go. And I'm like, no.
I know exactly what you mean. I've I've had tumultuous situationships right before performances, and it's like, oh wow.
Those are the best performances, though.
Right.
Don't lie. That's the
Especially-
best
especially
performances
when
ever.
the
Like
dudes-
when you're angry about something, you're like,
Oh,
listen.
Listen, we're gonna switch this setup real quick.
Like my whole therapy session's about to be right now. I'm not y'all are paying to sit to my no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm not. So
I'm not. Right, I am, but I'm not.
not.
I am thankful that I am not there, but I'm grateful that I went there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That part.
so I start this, like I said, it's easy stuff. So I always start off asking like what inspired the book, but specifically what inspired the book, but also why haiku?
Why haiku? So going back to okay, we're just gonna let all of this out here. Believe it or not, I was a special ed kid. Yeah, I was absolutely a special ed kid. At one particular period early on, it was like all the other kids stayed in class. I had to go with the other small groups of class into the other class to get the extra attention that I needed. And I always struggled in the area of math specifically. That's why I jokingly said in the email, we can talk about anything in the world you want to talk about. We're not talking about math because I'll sit here and cry. But
I'm not a numbers person.
Never have been a numbers person. And come to find out later on in life, kind of like Theo Huxtable did, it's a mild form of dyslexia called dyscalculia. And so it's like literally the numbers on the page, it looks like Ghostwriter. And everything is everywhere. So as a tool to help me with numerization and things of that nature, it was suggested to me to get into haiku because of the whole, 17 syllable structure, 5-7-5. It gets you in a rhythm. And in the beginning, I hated them. I didn't understand them. It was like, okay, I got the number part down, but what am I saying? What am I saying? I don't even know what I'm saying. This is weird. And so they slowly became my pre-Twitter tweets when I finally got it. And once I got it, it just like snowballed from there. And they would literally come to me in my sleep. Would be like on the bus, on the metro, talking to somebody, and one would just hit me, and I would like write it down, or I would text it into my phone. And before I knew it, I just had all these haiku, and I started like writing them on the walls in my room, like everywhere. And to more specifically answer the question of why this book, to be completely honest with you, I didn't want to. And to get slightly deep and spooky, this was one of those obey God moments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, oh my God, I really don't want to do this because I'm so very comfortable being on the production side of this whole industry. Oh God, I love it there. It's fine there for me, like being the face behind or being the voice behind or everything behind. I'm fine with that. I love that. I prefer that. But it's become more air apparent, especially as I've gotten older, that, part of this destiny for me involves a bit of the spotlight in various areas. And then it had always been like prophesied or foretold over my life. Oh, you're going to reach the nations. You're going to heal the people. And once I agreed to those terms with God, it was like, okay, but it will absolutely not be from a pulpit with a collar around my neck. I'm not doing that. No. So the agreement that I made with God was, okay, if I'm going to reach these people and share your love with them and things of that nature, it'll be through my heart. Please and thank you. And one of the instructions per that was, yeah, you need to write a book. And I was like, I really don't want to write a book because I don't want that attention. And I know that's cliche to say, oh, I don't really know, but I really don't. Like at all. I really don't. Like it took some priming of the pump from Kaniki to get that bio that you got out of me. It took heaven and earth for that because for years my bio was one sentence. Harvey is a creative who loves God and is cool with Jesus. Period. The end. That was my bio. That was absolutely my bio.
That's a good short bio.
Right. I never cared about the accolades. Never cared if you saw me do this. If you knew if you know, I know this person, that person. I just always wanted to provide space and platform and opportunity for healing through entertainment for other people. And so this book, being haiku, was so necessary by it being the first one, because it symbolizes what I struggled with as a child. It also symbolizes what I've overcome through the years. And it is, again, this is my offering to the literary world in terms of, this is what helped me. Hopefully it'll help you too.
I have, good God, I have so many thoughts going through my head from that whole. No. I had like I'm writing notes because I want to remind myself to go back and say 4 things.
Mm-hmm.
One, I never thought of haiku as a learning tool for if you're trying to learn numbers. Like, that floored me because I was like, that is actually freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
If you're trying to learn numbers without learning numbers, that's wholly brilliant. 2, I understand the behind the scenes part way too much. That's actually my life. I am more comfortable being back there and sort of scripting the things that happen. But I also understand that no one else can do me like I can.
That part, yeah.
In that, no one's going to read my words, you're not going to get the same thing that you got hearing it from me. So I've learned to speak for myself, and that's what this is. This whole thing is just that part. As far as your bio, I will tell you, I will quote one of my favorite movies. Every hero needs a theme song. So you should have a good bio somewhere. This is good. You should have a good bio somewhere. Every hero needs a theme song.
Oh my God.
It is what it is.
Funny. Wow.
And the reason I like haiku, and the reason I talk a lot about them, and I've talked about them on other shows. We had earlier, was it this year? Well, earlier in the season, we had Kim B. Miller. You know who Kim Miller is?
I have a haiku about Kim B. Miller.
Yeah. we have this great relationship. I love Kim. She's awesome. I would love to go head to head with Kim in a death match. It's gonna happen. I'm actually trying to convince her to do the thing I'm about to talk to you about, which is I am the current reigning national deathmatch champion, and the current reigning champion from Southern Fried.
Wow.
So I am trying to get her to come with me next year. We talked about this on the show. Apparently, they're doing a national championship, like a team one actually, and an individual one next year, sometime in Detroit.
Wow.
They're doing
That sounds awesome.
It's next summer. So I was like, and I talked to somebody else about this on the show a couple weeks ago and said, I'd send you the info. Let's go. Let's, like, as many people as we can get to go. Like, we should need to bring a team from like the DC area. Let's go. I
would be down for that. I would absolutely be down for that.
I was like, people who have catalogs, like I said, it's supposed to be a team tournament. So I'm gonna throw that out there.
I've never done a slam anything before. I would definitely be down for that.
Yes, slam is interesting, but this haiku specifically, like deathmatch and that kind of stuff, it's its own little, because you have to have a catalog of these. I believe at a bare minimum, you need 45 of them. At a bare minimum, in order to go the way that they do it, you need like 45 to even consider it. And they don't have to be memorized, and you can use books, and you can pull from wherever you want. And the beauty of it is it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work like regular slam. You can pull from your book because you don't know what you're going to use until you hear what everybody else is doing. So you can walk up there with a book full of stuff. And it really is one of those things where you're like, okay, this could be it. And you can make them up while you're there. I did. I made some up while I was sitting at Nationals. I made some up while I was there.
Wow.
Because I wanted to make sure I had a couple of extras and ended up using them.
Wow.
So yeah, this doesn't work in the same realm as, it's part of slam culture, but doesn't work in the same way as that. So I'm curious to see how this whole thing is going to go. And I like finding people who understand, like, not everything has to be, 5 minutes. Not everything has to be 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can make really simple, short, declarative statements in 3 lines. I started writing them because I had a whole bunch of really great one-liners that I couldn't use, that I didn't use, or I couldn't use somewhere. I like saying really snarky stuff in like the shortest way possible. That's it. That's what started it. It's I have lines I haven't used, and I can't write. Like, I'm a concept writer, so I write around my stuff. Like, I have something I want to write and then kind of start from the middle and work my way out. But if I never use it, it just sits. So sometimes I will condense them down and turn them into haikus. And,
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but I'm listening to like how other people like kind of view, some people are like, form poems, I don't like them. They don't work for me. But it's interesting when you figure out that it's a thing that you can actually use. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was like, I really find it interesting that you were like, that it was a learning tool. I was like, that is not a concept I had thought about. So how long is the book? How many haiku were in the book? Roughly
130 haiku in here. Yeah. Roughly.
I mean, I'm assuming you have way more than that and just decided to condense these into.
It could have easily been an encyclopedia of haiku, but when approaching writing this book, one thing I didn't want to do was to beat anyone over the head with it or anything that I do artistically. I don't want to inundate you with it. I always want to leave you wanting more, and I always want to leave you with just enough to where you're like, oh, that was good. Now can I have some more? And also, I knew that with my particular demographic, they're used to my prose poetry, but they aren't necessarily used to the haiku. And a lot of them would be being introduced to haiku for the very first time. So with that being said, I didn't just want to just like, here's 5,000 haiku. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
I strategically placed these haiku in the book, and it's broken up into 4 different chapters: live, laugh, love, and repeat. And the repeat chapter, those were the ones that while I'm at an open mic or while I'm performing out, somebody will holler back, repeat that, go back, start that over, whatever. And a lot of the ones that are in repeat, incidentally, are the ones that I specifically would speak over myself in the mornings, like as I'm starting my day. So like I said, when it's like the whole Being Mary Jane thing, there were like Post-its all over the walls in my room, like in my closet as I'm getting dressed. It's just because I believe that words have power. And, even something as small as a haiku, those 17 syllables can literally change someone's life.
Let me, for people who are watching, right? So just so we're clear, like traditional haiku, the way people think about this is the Japanese form, which has the nature and then the flip, and it is literally five syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. Mm-hmm. What we're talking about here is more like the American style ones, where you can talk about whatever you want, long as it hits at the back end and it kind of sticks to the 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like we're not being purists here. We're just this is where we are.
The best way I can describe my haiku is that they have mumbo sauce on them. Yeah.
I think I'm kind of half mumbo sauce, half Old Bay. There you go.
There you go. Who doesn't like a lemon pepper haiku?
There you go.
Who doesn't?
There you go. Who doesn't like a? You know what? We're gonna make one out of this. Who doesn't like a lemon pepper haiku? I'm writing this down. We're going to use this somewhere. We'll figure it out. We'll come back to it back into the thing, and we'll figure out how to write this down. I'm really, really seriously typing this down because that's funny. But I excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Was gonna say like it's a different like what I talk about on this show is a lot about process and writing and that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different process to try to do something like this.
Oh yeah.
Than to sit down and write a whole poem.
Mm-hmm.
like a whole, not it is a whole poem, but I mean like a long
A
form,
lengthy,
prosy
yeah,
type, right?
stanzas and things
So
of that nature. Yeah.
right. So what does the process look like for you? Like not just like, I mean, not just either way, but I mean, like, what does your process look like? Do you sit down and you have to be at a desk, you're outside, they just come to you? Do you
Mm-mm.
need music?
They're like Pokemon. They'll pop up anywhere, and I literally keep a pen and pad beside my bed because sometimes they'll come to me in my sleep, and I wake up and it'll like, or sometimes not even in full. A half of one will come, and I'll write something down, and then later on that day, the rest of it'll come. I spend my days counting on my fingers a lot.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know me, you would think, what is happening right now? And I'm literally going over haikus in my head. And I'm like keeping a mental note if I don't have my pen and pad with me. I try my best to keep a pen and pad with me, because they literally will come anywhere. They will come anywhere. And so I'll just write them down. Some have never seen the light of day. Some I never perform without saying. Yeah, kind of
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah. They're kind of like my kids in that way. You need, like, you growing up, you have the kid that you can take with you to the grocery store, and then you have the ones that, okay, you stay home with dad. I'm going to take
Over
the
there.
rest of you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
They are like that. They're definitely.
I sometimes write the thought first and then edit the syllable count later. Like, I know what I want to say right first, and I'll edit the syllables later. There's the thought. I can always, thesaurus my way through this in a minute. Yeah.
Come on,
I did. It's true though. I did watch the video you have. So I'm gonna have whoever's Sherry or Kaniki, if you guys want to pull it up. I want to have one of them post it in the chat. Well, I'll find it. Well, however it works in the chat so that everybody else can see it. There's a video that you have, which it's the last portion of the book, and so it has a bunch of the haikus from the.
Yes. Definitely shouts out to Brandon Frith, who is one of the most amazing musicians and producers on planet Earth. I was watching the Oscars this year, and one of my favorite artists of all time, John Baptiste, was making his Oscar acceptance speech for Soul. And I literally sitting on the side of the bed, and I said out loud, I want to do an audiobook with my book release. I kid you not, the next day, my phone randomly rings. It's Brandon. Like, hey, long time no see. How you been? I was wondering, have you ever thought of recording any of your poems or doing anything musically with your poetry? I just looked at the phone.
Look at the universe.
Like, for
Look
real?
at the universe.
Are you for real right now? He's like, yeah, why? I was like, nothing. Yes, absolutely. So over this summer, we would meet regularly, and I would just give him bits and pieces of the vision, and the way he brought it into fruition is just amazing to me. So like I said, it's broken up into 4 chapters: live, laugh, love, and repeat. And he took each chapter and created a beat for the audiobook. So it's not just my voice over dead air reading off or rattling off haiku. It like literally feels like a mixtape. Or someone told me a month or so ago, it felt like an adult storybook. So yeah, I love that. Shouts out to Brandon.
It was absolutely hilarious. Like, I was sitting there listening to it earlier today while I was doing some stuff around the house and kind of doing some background and stuff, because again, so for the audience's sake, we've not met in person. So I'm like trying to normally, and I will have it. Normally what happens is when I have an author in the show, I usually have your book sitting in my shelf. So we will discuss this, ladies and gentlemen. You see this nice little, where's my thing? See this nice little above your thing that way. See this shop up here. Okay, so that's how you support your artist and all that things and get the book. But normally, like ahead of time, I would already have it in the thing so I could actually show it and pull some things from the book that I really, really like. So we're going to rectify this and I'm going to get your book. However, I was, like I said, in the process of this, I was actually watching the video. It's really neat. So the link is now in the chat. For anybody that wants to grab it, it's in both chats,
please.
Facebook and YouTube. Go back and watch it later. Trust me, it's well worth it.
Thank you.
Especially if you need a really good laugh. It's well worth it.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, of course. So what I guess is the next question is what was your biggest challenge in not writing this, but writing or publishing? How about that? What was your biggest challenge in writing or publishing this book?
Me.
Because
I was the biggest challenge. Specifically the me that was constantly yielding to the fears that I had that were crippling. Because you can say, great job, you're awesome, you're beautiful, you look great, you sound good, your work is amazing, to a person who was like me until you're blue in the face. But until we internalize that and believe it, it's literally going in one ear and out the other. And so I was the biggest issue, stumbling block, roadblock, whatever you have, or what have you. It was me. It was absolutely me. I went through this long stretch of disbelief that I was even good enough to be considered a poet or a creative. I just didn't believe it. Did not believe it. Thank God for therapy, which should be free for Black men in this world.
It
Black
really
people in
should.
general. But
it really should.
Thank God for therapy. I'm coming up on, what is this, 5 years of weekly therapy that may or may not be court ordered. That's neither here nor there. But in working through a lot of deeply rooted issues that stemmed from early childhood that was swept under the rug, as they constantly are within the African American Pentecostal persuasion. I wore that cloak of not being good enough for decades. And that was for me, that was the beauty in the chaos that was this pandemic, because it forced me to sit and look and discern and take inventory of all of the stuff that was in me, that was in the way of getting this creative juices flowing, essentially. And so once I dealt with me on that level, because we're still dealing with ourselves daily, once I dealt with me enough to get me out of the way so that all of this creativity could properly flow, I have the book. So there's that.
I was going to say, step one, I am a huge proponent and advocate of therapy.
Indeed. Man.
My last book is literally poems about the experience with going to therapy the first go round. It's called Last Week I Thought I Was a Toaster Oven, but it's literally a whole book of poems about like the experience of going to therapy.
Shouts out to that brave little toaster, by the way. But
yeah, so I'll tell the joke. Animaniacs, right? They used to do, when the old one came on, there's a version called Dot's Poetry Corner.
I remember that.
Yeah, y'all remember that?
She would like have the spotlight, and then there would
and she would do the whole snap, and one of the poems was
I remember that.
One of the poems from Dot's Poetry Corner was, "I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here's my handle, and here's a note from my shrink. He tells me I'm getting better. Last week I thought I was a toaster oven. Thank you."
Why do I very vaguely remember that? Oh,
I turned that into the title of my book, so it's called Last Week I Thought I Was a Toaster Oven.
Wow. That took me back. That took me back. Yeah, once I got to the root of the insecurities and things of that nature, began to do the work on that, it freed up a lot of space for creativity and for license to produce and present, because there are a lot of people who are like me that have all of this greatness that has been produced but hasn't been presented because we did not.
You're holding on to things that don't belong to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes.
Yep.
We could spend another hour talking about that right there.
Yep.
I hear it. I hear it. I know it. I've heard it. It is exactly it. We hold on to things that do not belong to us.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you learn to let all that go.
And it's so funny you said it, because there's a point at the end of, I want to say, the love chapter in the audiobook where I say some of you have rope burn because you refuse to let these toxic things go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That applies to so many things. I'm gonna come back to something else you said earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about kind of coming up in the church too. How
Mm-hmm.
does that? Because if you go back on past interviews we've had, people have very it's never down the no. It's varied experiences with church, religion, and how that pertains to how they write.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Oh,
so
yeah.
How does that influence? How does that sort of upbringing influence the things that you do?
I'm so glad you asked about that, because there is there's definitely a haiku in there that goes, FYI, I cuss like my parents are Della Reese and Kirk Franklin. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I love God. He loves me. We're all getting judged when we die. Maybe I'm not going to get judged for what you're going to get judged when I get in there, but hopefully I make it in. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. One thing about me, the me that you see on stage is the same me that you will see in person. It's the same me you'll see in church. It's the same me that you will see in the club. When I did club, it's the same me that you'll see in the house. At the end of the day, I'm only someone else when I'm paid to be on stage.
I'm not even someone else when I'm paid to be on stage.
And
you're paying to get exactly the same person on stage too.
That part. And I mean, unless it's a non-union character, it's me, dog.
Yeah, that part. Okay, because you also are a trained actor. I am not even close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you're paying for me to be on stage, you're gonna get exactly the same person you met 5 minutes ago.
It's me, dog. It's me. It's me. And so I've pretty much always been that way. And specifically with the church or whatever, it's like, I have an amazing church. Shouts out to Holy Cross Pentecostal Church, and my pastor, the Bishop Irving L. Rollins. He's amazing. Like he knows me. Like we like how I'm talking to you right now is how I'm talking to him. We don't. It's just be regular. You know what I'm saying? Be normal. It's no ecclesiastical aromatic dissertation that's going on. It's, yo, what's good? What's up? How you doing? You know what I'm saying? Just be normal. It's not the King's English over here. We're not about to get that. And so with that being said, it's like, even when like I used to like get asked to host events in the church, I'm like, y'all sure? Because okay. All right.
Are you super sure about that? You sure you want me to do it?
All right. You know that part in the book where it says you're scarcely making it in? That's me. But all right. Okay. We're here. I'm going to try. I can't make no promises, but I'm going to try. So with that being said, it's like they know what to call on me for and what not to call on me for, because, this mouth has always been reckless from birth. So it's just like that.
I'm a firm believer. If I know myself well enough to know I don't trust what I'm getting ready to do right now, and you shouldn't either. I will wholly recommend someone else.
Absolutely. I'm a huge.
I have a catalog of people that are well versed in exactly what you need. I don't have that in my arsenal.
Yeah.
I don't even have a poker face.
For years,
I
I
believe
didn't have.
filters.
Yeah, I didn't even have a church-friendly poem. Like, you sure you want me for this?
Exactly.
Okay. I keep trying to
Exactly.
write something off
Listen,
the fly, but I
listen.
can't host this event, dog.
Listen, filters are for coffee. I don't have any.
It's just
Yeah,
yeah.
you got the
Yeah.
wrong person. And I have done, and the funny thing is I have done poems in the church. But
Mm-hmm.
I have over the course of a very long time learned how to self-edit, and
Mm-hmm.
even the stuff I think doesn't fits if you do it right. But I have
Right,
done poems in the
right,
church.
right, right.
But yeah, but if it's one of those like, yeah, I don't know if you really want
Yeah.
this, dog.
Like,
Okay,
have you
hold on. Let me just.
have you
I'm over
Googled
here.
me? Like, have you seen my okay?
Like, were you there when I said that?
All right. But yeah,
I actually
that's
have a very funny story about that too. I have stories for days. This ain't about me. I'll tell you though, because I find it funny. There's a poet out of Atlanta who has a poem has a very famous poem about pastors in church.
oh wow.
And about the church, and about really not, just basically it's about how they're pimps. Basically, he refers them as pimps. In any case, so I went on tour with this person and love him dearly. He's got this great poem, and something happened where we required like I said, we're gonna jump from here to there.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow or another, we got from here to somebody required a bail bondsman. Right?
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
the bail bondsman turned out to be a pastor. And that pastor bought said poet's CD that had that poem on it.
Oh my.
And
Oh
I was
my.
like, are you sure you want to do that? Because I'm just gonna mind my business. I'm not one to her to say, oh, you mind your business, stay over here.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, pastor emails, he tells me this later. Pastor emails him and tells him that's his favorite poem on the entire project.
It's so funny you said that, because there are at least 10 pastors that bought this book, and it's like, I mean, for the most part, it's user friendly. There's a few pages in there that have colorful language on it. I gave listen. You know me, so you know what's probably going to be in the book, and it's going to be in there. And just like you just said, a couple of them in private, have said, you know what, I really like this one. I really want to post this one, but for obvious reasons, I can't. Like, I get it. I understand.
Correct.
There's actually a haiku in there about pastors that goes, the anointing hit different when you aren't sleeping with your flock, pastor. So I mean, it's like no stone is unturned in this particular book. I promise you that it covers some of everything. Everything.
I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
I'm hearing this, and I appreciate that. Especially somebody who can take. The thing I love most about, and I keep coming back to the thing I love most about, one of the things I love most about haiku is that you literally are not obligated to write about the same thing.
Mm-mm. Not at all.
And even if you chose to, you could do 100 different, who was it? Who do we have on here, guys? Who has the book that has like 100 haiku about the same thing?
Oh wow.
Pages has a book.
Wow.
It's not actually about that, but it's Drake Who's. He has the Drake Who's book. This is like 100. Here's the 100 haiku about Drake or Drake-ish type things.
I forget petty. Yeah, he does love it.
Yeah, it's petty.
I actually have a haiku about Drake.
I think everybody does. He's such an easy moving target. I can't take it.
Oh wow, I do. Let me think. How does that go? God,
Drake is an easy moving
that's
target.
how it goes. I just want someone to look at me the way Drake did Jake from State Farm. That's how the haiku goes. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. That elongated stare in that commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Very accurate.
So All right, where are we? Where are we in questioning? I'm looking at time and making sure we got plenty of time to come back. And we're gonna chat for like another 15 minutes
That's fine with me.
and then open it back and then have you read and then open it back up, yada yada. Because I'm quite sure everybody else has more questions than I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is dope though. I'm so glad you're on the show. I'm so glad we had a chance to chat.
Thank you. I'm so glad.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Here's the one. I like to ask every author I have on this show because we talk a lot about process and things like that, and it looks different for everybody. So, what are your best tips and tricks for people who want to write or publish a book? It's not as hard as it sounds, I promise you.
No, it's not. It stems from, actually, my mind went hurling to one of my favorite movies, Sister Act Part 2, which is that scene where she catches up with Rita after she leaves out of the thing. She's like, I read this book that says if you want to be a writer, then go write. And that is and I literally, I just did an event yesterday, and one of the gentlemen who was working that event, working security for that event, he asked me, he was like, do you have any, because I'm a screenwriter, and I just want to get my stuff out there. What is your advice? And it's funny, you just asked me that not 24 hours later, and same thing I'm about to say. I said to him, go do it. If you want to be a writer, write. Whether it's a sentence, whether it's 2 words, whether it's a paragraph, write something every day. And as you're writing, do your research as to how you can get this in front of who it needs to be gotten in front of. You got to be proactive in your own destiny. Because one thing for sure, 2 things for certain, very few things success-wise is just dropped in our laps.
Absolutely.
And so with that being said, while you are being about your business creatively, you have to figure out how you can handle the back end of that business-wise. Because the 2 have to come hand in hand.
They do. And it's a learning curve. It's a hard learning curve. We talked a lot about, we had Georgia Me on last week, and we talked a little bit about the business end. She's probably one of the, if you ever get an opportunity to have a conversation with her in any capacity, she once spent, like I said, 45 minutes just dropping a bunch of business jewels on a group of us in a room, a very small group of us in a room. And I'm like,
I'm sorry.
This is somebody who's been there 15 years. This is somebody who's been in the game 15 years.
I was just getting ready to say that. I more than likely, she has a lengthy amount of time under her belt with that. I want to say at the beginning of this year, I had a very in-depth conversation with a multi-millionaire. I'm not going to say who the person's name is, but like millions of dollars just at their disposal. And this particular millionaire is so freely giving of information. And this millionaire literally said to me, you know what the difference is between me and the hundreds of people that I either try to mentor or give all of this free information to? And I said, what? That person literally said, I took the advice and implemented it.
That part. That part.
Like literally, I did what was told to me, and now I'm here.
Right. Like take if somebody's giving you that kind of advice, take that.
They were like, you would be amazed at how many people I literally give the formula. This is what I invested in. This is what I did when I had 2 pennies in the pocket. This is the route I used. This is where I cut corners here. This is what I did here. If you do this, you too can get to where I am. And it's easier said than done. So people just don't do.
Exactly.
And it could be as major as a multi-million-dollar business merger or as artistic as writing a book. You know how many people between me announcing that this book was coming to just yesterday that I literally said, these are the steps that I went through to write this book. This is Kaniki J. She's the first Black poet laureate of Alexandria, Virginia, who just so happens to own her own publishing company. this is the email that you need to use to get in touch with her people to submit your. You think they did it? You think they did it? I mean, it's like literally looking a gift horse in the mouth. But you also have to. That comes with the understanding that not everybody is going to be able to go where you go.
Not everybody's ready for that either.
Not
like
everybody's
even if they
ready.
ask you, they might be preparing to do and haven't done yet. It takes time. It's kind of the reason why it's literally part of the reason why we do this show. It's let us give you the information. Take from it what you will.
That part.
We refer to this, I told you, we stay referring to this as a masterclass for this reason.
That is one of like the mantras that I live by. I will never. There's a dope interview with Jill Scott on the Breakfast Club where she says, if you can't tell me what to do, then you cannot tell me what to do. I will never stand in a position, if I can help it, where I'm going to tell you what you should be doing. I will always tell you what I've done and what worked for me and what could possibly work for you. And it's up to you to do what you will with that information.
Exactly. That is how this is. Here is the information. Do with it what you will, but we have given it to you. And I mean, and we go back routinely on this show and say, we've had somebody on here who turned around and did something absolutely amazing. We update people on guests we've had on here who've done like huge monstrous things, like record deals and become poet laureates bigger than where they already were. Like we had one that went from a city laureate to a state laureate. We've had all kinds of like just amazing things happen from the people who've been on this show. And the one thing that's consistent across the board is exactly that, is that they did, is that they didn't talk, they did.
And I can so passionately say,
and they were willing to share it too. There you go.
That part, and it's because hindsight is always 20/20, and I very much so was one of those people, because that was tied into my disbelief that I was good enough. So I would get all of this advice, and I would get all of this information, and then I would like in my head like see the scenario unfold or how it could possibly unfold if I just do it. But I was terrified of taking that leap. And fear is something that if you've never had to deal with it, you will never understand it. You will never be able to understand it. You never will. And unless that's one of those things where the experience comes from you actually having to sit in that predicament or sit in that reality. And until you do, you can beat someone over the head with the information, but if they're not in a position to where they can receive it and then do something with it, it's moot.
I also feel like when it comes to specifically creative things, fear, the worst thing that can happen is that someone tells you no. And it hurts more when it's creative, because you feel like I've put all this effort into it. And you're not rejecting the project, you're rejecting the thing behind the project. I think that's where people get tied up. And I'm like, no. It's a project. It's out there. At some point you get where it needs to be. It's out there already.
I can see how that can happen, because for a lot of artists, you put so much of yourself in your work that it feels like a direct slap in the face. But again, like that goes back to what I said in terms of getting your ducks in a row artistically as well as business wise.
Exactly.
Because that will prepare you for all of the no's. Because I promise you, if I had a penny for every no that I got.
I used to keep a book full of rejection letters. I used to keep a book full of rejection letters for the first novel I ever wrote. That's fine. Yeah. I already knew I was going to have a whole bunch of them, because that's the way the publishing world works. That is not an offense to me. That is I wasn't going to get a yes on the first one, but I might get on the second one or the third or whatever. And it's, here you go.
And for me, the way I perceive that is, it's not a no, it's just a not from you.
Right. It's like not you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Maybe that's not a
That's
good match
okay.
right now.
And that's okay. I shine that up, spit tune it, and present it to somebody else. And it may go from a no to a maybe. Then you take that and revamp it again and then shop it back out there and you may get your yes. But you'll never know until you do.
Right. But tied into that is where we first started with this part of the conversation, which was when I said, I might have got a no, but I appreciated the no's that came with, here's what you need to do to fix this so that you can possibly move this into a maybe category.
Absolutely.
I appreciated the ones that took the time to do that. Yeah. Like fix this, and we'll reconsider, or fix these things because I feel like there's some good stuff here, but right now we're not doing this thing. That's fine. I'll take the advice and then fix and move on. I will definitely take the advice and fix and move on. I feel like that's a thing I don't discuss enough on this show is that part. Because I don't want everybody to think that this is like especially with your first one, but definitely even after you get past your first one, we've had a whole publisher on here before. One of my guest prior, we had a publisher who was explaining that when she was on the front end, same thing as now that she's on the other end of it. She's like, I really hate doing the rejection letters and I hate doing that part, but that's now part of this publishing. And it's not because some of it is because I didn't have the space for it. Like, my publication's only but this big, So yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we had a whole poetry publisher on here.
Wow.
Who has a literary press.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. Like I said, I don't think I dig into that enough because I don't want people to feel like it's daunting. It's not. It is, but it's not. Like it is because it's again, it's like birthing babies, like stress inducing. You're like, okay, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this and I don't know what's next. Ask the questions.
And then that's the other thing. A lot of times, when you are not necessarily germane to a specific nuance of your talent or your ability, you become afraid of quote unquote sounding dumb or sounding immature in your craft. But you really need to move that aside because at the end of the day, you need to get this information. you need to do this research, whether it's for character development, whether it's for advancing your project. You need to get this information. So you got to push past that in order to be willing to be vulnerably ignorant enough to rise higher mentally.
Well, that also goes to, if you're doing, let's say you're writing a book, you're doing research for the book. Why are you not doing research about how to do the book? Like you should be doing research on both ends. You should be doing research across the board. You should be figuring out what making the book as accurate as possible, depending on what kind of book we're talking about. But making the book like accurate, but also how do I do this part accurately? The book is done now. What do we do with it? Who do I go to that would, make that work? Like I feel like that gets left out. Like do research.
Yeah, it's left out because so much has gone without being said that a lot of people just start making it up as they go along, which is fine if you are skilled in doing that. But if that's not a strong suit, then go.
Save yourself a headache. Save yourself a headache.
I promise you. We go through things in life because we're connected to one another, and allow someone else to go through what you don't have to hit your head on, please, if you can. Please. Yeah. Please. Like
I already bumped my head. Let me tell you how not to do that. Don't do that.
Part.
It's 6 feet. Duck. It's 6 feet, and you're 6'1". Please duck, because don't do that.
It's a really real thing.
That's crazy. So I've got 2 questions for you left, and then I will, like I said, take myself off, let you do a poem, and then bring people back into the questions. So before I do that, I will say, if anybody that's in the viewing audience or my co-host has questions, you might want to start preparing those things now. So the last 2 questions are fun, kind of.
We love big fun with the Wretched.
We love fun. We're still talking books, but we love fun.
Mm-hmm.
So bouncing off of what we were talking about earlier, I realize you just finished this one, but are you in the process of working on any other projects? And
I
this was a
laugh
question.
because for as many haiku that would just come to me in the middle of the night, all kinds of books and ideas and idiosyncrasies that are tied directly to parts 2 and 3 of this absolutely come, that are definitely jotted down. But in terms of actually like coming to fruition, yes. I don't know I don't know what rock you've been living under that you have not ever heard of this amazing poet by the name of Rebecca Dupas. But
We've had her on the show.
yeah,
She's been
she's
here on
amazing.
Roundtable, yes.
She has this group on Facebook for poetry and poetry lovers called the Harvest. Yeah, Harvest Society.
Yes, Harvest Society.
And my next project, she actually inspired last year as I was going through the motions of getting Haiku and May Concern out. October. No, actually, yeah. Gosh, time is flying. It was October. The writing prompts for October. Every day she would give a prompt for you to write any type of anything artistically. It could be a haiku. It could be a long piece, short piece. She would
right.
She would give a word, or she would give like a verse, a lyric from the Jay-Z song, and you just had to write something around that. And I delved into that heavily, like really heavily. And
They're really
the work
good.
that came from that, I'm definitely going to publish. This is the first time I'm talking about this. I'm titling it "When October Goes," after one of my all-time favorite jazz songs, specifically sang by Nancy Wilson. And so it's full of those writing prompts. That is more than likely going to be the next book that I do publish. And I'm also going to do a photography coffee table book as well.
I did one. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I did a poetry, and actually both Sherry and Kaniki were part of this. A poetry coffee table book, but not with poems. We took photos of poets in 5 cities.
Oh, that's dope.
Doing stuff other than poetry.
Wow. Okay.
So we picked things that we hit them with a theme and said, this is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like we have, like Sherry she'll if you know her, she's into sewing and fashion, and she makes her own stuff. And so we have her in a dressing room and with, all kinds of things going on. And I have one of Kaniki and 13, but we took pictures of these poets in these different cities minus poetry with one word attached to it. And we put one word on there that was a theme for the whole shoot. And I think only one person, we shot 50 poets, and I think only one person asked, can I pick my own word? We were like, yeah, sure.
Oh, wow. That's dope.
Somebody specific asked me to pick their own word, and the word was fuck. It was great. It fit. Trust me, it fit. It was great.
Oh, wow.
It fit.
Wow.
He's like, that's what I want. Can I have that word? Yeah, you sure can. No one else picked one.
Wow. That's amazing.
But yeah, I still have all the photos on the opposite wall. It's not all up yet, but in the opposite wall downstairs of this house, I have a room full of artist photos, and those are included in the artist photos. That they've been taking, like singers, poets, people I've seen at open mics. Those photos have been taken over the last, I don't know, 6 years now, something like that, 6-7 years.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Like, yeah. So like for posterity's sake, like people make the wall downstairs, which means now I have to come find you live somewhere so I can like take a picture to put it on the wall.
Please do. I will be doing another book signing / featured event at Busboys and Poets on the 24th at the K Street location.
Okay. Wait. 24th K Street. That's Wednesday, right? Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
With Crochet the Kingpin, yeah.
Oh yeah. Crochet Kingpin. Yes, he's actually been on here to talk about his book too.
He's amazing, man.
Yes, sir. And you do know he's a haikuist.
Yes, he's one of the brains that I picked for this book. I promise you.
I will honestly tell you, there's a deep network of haikuists in this general region. There's all the people that were in Haiku Hitman. Like I said, myself, Kim. Who else do we have on here? Oh shoot, just me. Who's not here, but in this general vicinity. And I can't think. There's a bunch of people. Some of the people used to go to Spit That. There's a deep network of people who do haiku here.
Oh wow.
So if you want brains to pick, like I said, there's plenty of them. I actually would love to get all of these people in the same place. And we tried this last year, but I think that what happened was it came right just like literally a week ahead of like the pandemic.
Wow. Yeah. We've been talking so long about doing something. Myself, Kim, E-Baby.
Yeah, E-Baby. He's also been here.
Like,
yeah.
2021, it has to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It has
22, early 2022. Can we do that? Yeah, I know this year is almost over. I can't believe this year's almost over. We do need to do that. I would love to get like that kind of, excuse me, that kind of group together. Like I said, Kim and I talked about that. E-Baby, when he was here, I said something about it, and I think I said something to Dwayne. That actual question I just asked you was actually born out of when we started this show. This show was started out of at the beginning of the panini.
Wow.
like the week after, we were like, stuff is shutting down. What are we gonna do? Can we go on the air? Okay, cool. So we've kept the mic on, and that's what that is. So the question was, the question was originally like, what are you doing during quarantine? Well, quarantine's over mostly. You know, we're still kind of living a semi weird life right now. We've had to adapt, but I like to know that people are working on stuff while we're still kind of in this weird space, you know? And last question. This is gonna be fun, and I can't wait for that second book either. Last question that I like to ask people, and then like I said, I'll dip out and let you do the things. I like to end by asking, what is your favorite? You can take one or all three. You ready? Your favorite book, author, or quote?
Favorite book would definitely have to be The Alchemist. Favorite author, Eric Jerome Dickey. Favorite quote, zip your jacket up, my grandmother.
Oh, that's great. That's absolutely epic. Okay, so I am going to step out. I'm going to let you do a poem.
Okay.
I'm going to tell everybody that has questions, comments, want to write fun things. Let me know. Throw them in there if you have questions. I'm going to come back and bring my co-host in, and we'll kind of chit-chat for a few minutes. And onward to you.
Yay. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to grab a few of my favorites from each chapter, if that's okay. And that's going to be my poetic contribution for this segment. Again, the book is entitled Haiku It May Concern, Living Your Best Life Even When Mercury's in Retrograde, because as a fellow incredible poet once said, the rent is still due, even in a Mercury retrograde, to quote Whiskey Girl in the City. Like, seriously. Chapter 1, Haiku. The truth can't set you free until you acknowledge that you're a hostage. Haiku. Letting your food get cold while watching someone else eat is self-torture. Haiku. Dear creative, your price is based on your value versus their budget. Haiku. The grind is always hiring. You just have to be willing to work. And finally, from that chapter, Haiku. It's incredible to finally meet who you were meant to become. Chapter 2, laugh. How are you riding on E while smoking a blunt? You bought the wrong gas. Haiku. He actually likes cuddling, but your lace front smells like death, sis. Haiku. She actually likes giving head, but you don't wipe your ass well, bruh. Haiku. Y'all stood those brooms up and the world went straight to hell in a handbasket. Haiku. I just want someone to look at me the way Drake did Jake from State Farm. That's how that one went that I mentioned earlier. And finally, from chapter 2, laugh. Haiku. If the Bible were written today, WAP would be Song of Solomon. Chapter 3, love. Haiku. If they don't challenge you to be your best self, then you're with the wrong one. Haiku. Plot twist. If you don't ever become better, then you are the wrong one. Haiku. Be the one who brings clarity to your spouse's life, not confusion. Haiku. Cuffing season is also fuckboy season, so please buyer beware. Haiku. You must be tired. Dating him and raising him are both full-time jobs. Haiku. If you are Black and also a Trump supporter, you don't love yourself. Finally, from chapter 3, love. Haiku. Please stop giving the best parts of you to the worst possible people. And finally, from chapter 4, repeat. Haiku. Stop arguing with people who need Wi-Fi in order to reply. Haiku. Bright ideas and big dreams without plans or goals are moot talking points. Haiku. I forgive you, but my price has gone up since you last wasted my time. Haiku. I wish my student loan debt was forgiven as fast as Amber was. Haiku. Time heals all wounds, but if the wound improperly heals, then time's wasted. Haiku. I am the friend who, hey, I got you on speaker, doesn't mean shit to. Haiku. It is not your job to make sense of the favor on your life to them. Haiku. The weapons may form, may even sting a little, but they won't prosper. And finally, from chapter 4, repeat. Haiku. My love is not for sale, and my peace of mind is not to be disturbed. Haiku mimic.
You can't see backstage, but everybody was back there just like holding their face together. Like if I could throw a pen at you without breaking my computer, I'd do it.
Mhm.
I agree.
Thank
I
you.
agree. First off, just
Thank you.
thank you. I wanted to circle back on something that you mentioned about people needing to do the research about publishing, about whatever the next steps are in being a professional creative and a professional poet. It's more of a comment because I think there was a time when if you did ask, people were not willing were not willing to give the information.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's easier now.
I will agree with that. I absolutely will agree with that.
Mhm.
I will. But even with that, you gotta be in a place of desperation that will not allow you to rest until you get what you need. And a lot of times that requires continuously asking until you get the answer. And then also trusting but verifying. Because there's research, but then there's also cross-referencing. Because what's good for the gander may not be what's good for your goose. So consult multiple people. There's a whole council up in my head that I talk to every day. And sometimes, they give me great advice. Sometimes they don't. So it's always best to have multiple sources or as many sources that you can get. That thirst has to be so great that you need to be quenching yourself with multiple wells of knowledge.
So true. So true. I'm glad you mentioned that as well, because it is what may have worked for person A may not work for person B. But that does not mean that the information that they're giving is not valuable. They may give you a 10-minute soliloquy on how they went about it, and only about one minute that is really to you.
But that's okay though, because those other 9 minutes for 9 other people. You never know. Just
Oh.
Or it'll come back to you, or it'll come around to you later where you're like, oh yeah, I remember you said that at minute 3.
And also, if you were the one being asked, speak loud enough, because you don't know who else is listening.
That's very true.
Me and Harvey may be having this conversation, but whatever I'm saying to Harvey or whatever Harvey is saying to me, 3 people over may be like, oh, wait a minute. I need to know that you don't know who's ear hustling.
Exactly.
One of my favorite sayings, gather around, kids. Gather around. It's story time. It's story time.
Come on.
It's story time.
Let's do the thing.
I'm loud by nature, so yeah.
Yeah.
I'm loud by DNA.
Oh wow.
Mama loud, daddy loud, you know what I'm saying? It's gotta be loud. Let me just say, Harvey, you were a joy to work with. I've worked with many people. I would say that the best thing I would say, as far as like Harvey's concerned, like Harvey's like, okay, walk me through all these steps because this is my first time. I don't know, right? So don't talk to me like it's someone who knows. And that's the thing. Like when you're working with someone, you have to know what they don't know. This is my first book, so I don't know anything. Talk to me about every single step and what does that step mean? Like if I'm going to copyright this, what does that mean? If I need editing, what does editing mean? Like everything, like assume I don't know anything.
Child, all I can say is poor Keisha.
Keisha.
That's all I can say.
And she feels the same way because like basically we tell everybody when they start, don't rush this process, especially when it's your first book. This is your first introduction to the world, and people are so in a hurry to put it out. It's like you really took your time with this piece, right? To make sure that it was representation of what you were really trying to offer. Like, let me go back, maybe I don't want to put that piece in there. Maybe that piece doesn't belong in that chapter, that type of thing. And that's good. That's what people don't do to rework their stuff. Like, okay, I have it together. Now, you have to know, especially when you're writing a poetry book, poetry stands alone. You're trying to present a body of work. And does this body of work say what I want it to say? And I say that every time when I facilitate workshops, I always say, once you've completed the book, you read the book. And does the book say, because you don't write in one sitting, right? So see if this book says what you want to put out, right? And I think that you are the person, I didn't tell you that, but you did it on your own.
That's all the more reason why I said poor Keisha. I must have sent that woman like 42 different manuscripts. Like, I'm so,
not this one. I was like, okay, you did. You had a lot of different manuscripts. I was like, let me delete this one and make sure we don't print the wrong one. Make sure we got the right one. It's good. And I always say, like, in the book, I think what you wanted, like from the cover design, what you wanted it to be. What you said is what it is. That's why I always be like, and then when he's like, I published this book, and I'm like, and it's pretty.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's pretty. So I'm so glad that you finally put it out there. It's always hard as an author to put your work out there.
Man.
So my question would be, when do you know? Like, or when did you know? When did you know you were ready to go to print?
I knew I was ready to go to print when it's synonymous to when the full circle moment that Tina Turner talks about in the interview, where she did that one concert in Germany, which was the first time the audience began to sing her lyrics back to her. When I started performing and people would like yell out haikus they wanted me to do, and that for me synonymously was at the point where I was getting the haiku, like still getting the haiku in my sleep, or they would come to me. But when they would come to me, I knew they weren't coming to be in this book. And so when I started performing and then people were like, yeah, say this one, say that one, I knew, okay, well, I'm done. They're ready. The people are ready. The people are ready. That's
that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Love that. So let me ask you another question. As far as hosting, child, because I mean, I know we're on Let's Talk About Books, but you do other things. You do photography. You do, we talked a little bit about that, right? So you do photography. You also host venues and such and things and stuff. So just wanted to know that, for the people, you know what I'm saying? I know we have some side conversations sometime, but for the people, are you going to bring back this Poetic Vibes DC thing?
I
am. In 2022?
I really am. And sidebar, that conversation we had the other day, I did exactly what you told me to do. I reached out and I got a deluge of info. I got 13 minutes.
Good.
Good. 13 minutes. I'll just say that.
Good.
And, yes.
And that goes back to what you were saying earlier, Sherry. Like, really, like I called him on, talking about Keep the Mic On, but then I was telling him other stuff, and I was like, Harvey, are you writing this down? Because I charge people $145 for this, Harvey. You should be writing. Harvey was like, I said, this is a free consult that you're getting right now. He said, oh, I'm writing down. I'm gonna follow up. I'm gonna do it. And just to know that you did, it's like, it wasn't a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a waste of my time. It wasn't a waste of my breath. You wrote it down and acted on it.
And followed through and got good information from that. And so actually this week I will be meeting with venues and things of that nature to discuss the possibility of bringing it into their space. So rest assured, viewers, Poetic Vibes Open Mic will be coming back 2022 in person. So that will be happening. And it'll also be our 5th year anniversary, by the way, too. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a from behind the microphone question. So you have mentioned that you are an actor, you are a writer, you are a host. Do you have any other creative outlets? And if not, is there something else you would like to learn how to do?
Yeah, it's kind of it's definitely a jack of all trades over here. I'm a producer as well. I've been blessed to work my way up the ranks in terms of production for broadcasted events. Some you may have heard of, like presidential inauguration, the Kennedy Center honors, PBS specials, things of that nature.
It sounds familiar.
Sound familiar, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. May or may not have worked in the talent coordinating production hat of those things, and so I love doing that. I love doing that because being able to have an active voice in creating a vision that massive is just beyond. That falls under the above and beyond that you could ever ask or think, because I just wanted to be able to create and to have those gifts open up all of these doors for me. It's amazing. If I could pick one thing though that I have not learn how to do. I'm going to learn how to play the harmonica. I really want to.
I love that. I love that.
And I have been saying this for years now, and it's like, okay, now it's time to get proactive in your verbiage. And yeah, I'm going to learn how to play the harmonica. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more question, and maybe maybe one of us will ask the last question as well. So my one more question was, what was my one more question? Hold on, because I want to. Oh, I know. Here's my one more question. This is my one more question is: we know that we can support you by buying your book, and we know that we can do so because the website is at the top, and that's how we can do it, right? We know that we can support you with your Cash App, because that is at the bottom. Is it Cash App or PayPal? Cash App and PayPal is
all of it. Everywhere that currency is exchanged.
True. So I always like to ask people, because people who don't have the monetary sacrifice to make, what can they do to support you that's not monetary?
Pray for me. Send good vibes my way.
Yeah.
Please. Before your head hits pillow, and as it wakes up the next day, think of me, as you are in commune with the Lord. Just say, add a like the song say, add a blessing just for me. In addition to that, sharing is free. Word of mouth is still the best form of marketing. So if you could tell a friend, hey, there's this dope poet and creative by the name of Harvey. He has his website. Check it out. If you could share it on all of your social media platforms, if you could like it, those things are free. And those things are appreciated by artists because it lets us know that, one, you see us, and one, you care enough to share us with your circle. Because that's how we grow. That's a really prominent way for us to grow and get our name further out there. So yeah, if you could definitely tell a friend, tell an enemy, y'all might bond over it. You never know.
There it is.
There it is.
That's it.
Okay.
All right.
Sherry, you want to ask the last question?
Actually, Girl Genius always asks the last question.
She does.
I do, but I'll ask it.
I'll ask it.
Gotcha.
I'm just being silly. All right. So now that you've been on the show and you've communed with all of us, and you know about the different segments that we do, who do you think would make a great guest for us to have on the show?
Gosh,
it doesn't have to be one person. It could be more than one.
Okay,
We take suggestions. We keep a list.
Yes.
Okay, good. Keep your there is an amazing playwright, even though she's claiming retirement. I No, that doesn't even make sense to me. By the name of Star Johnson. She gave me pretty much the greatest start in the artistic industry here in this area. She took a chance on me, and it just I'm not gonna sit up here and cry, like, but yeah, no, Star Johnson, we are co-producers on a lot of things. She is a creative genius. I can't say enough about her. We like, wow, it just blows my mind to think about it. She's phenomenal. I don't know if you've ever had well, y'all have had Rebecca on here. Y'all have had you baby on here. Have y'all had whiskey on here? Y'all definitely need to get whiskey up here.
Not yet.
We have not had Whiskey Girl yet.
We need to get Whiskey Girl.
Yeah, and that's definitely a Poets and Platforms, because she is killing the game.
When I say, I've been on this crusade for the past few years to give people their flowers while they can smell them, because
exactly,
like when I say selfless whiskey, like one of the first people that I went to in terms of, girl, I'm writing a book, I don't know what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? Like literally just sat me down and gave me 10 minutes for which I utilized every 10 of those minutes. You follow what I'm saying? I wanted 11 and 12 and 13 more minutes of those 10 minutes that she gave me. Like, she is amazing. There's a wonderful artist by the name of Ryan Kelly. She just moved from this area to New York to advance her creative career. She is one of the most prolific artists that I've ever seen in quite some time. I should strongly suggest her.
We haven't had a lot of visual artists on here either.
She would be oh God, she's great.
Not a straight visual artist, no.
No, we've had a photographer, but we've not had a straight up visual artist, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, definitely.
We've had musicians, and we've had photographers, and we've had non-poet writers. I.e., we had someone who did like romance novels, and I think we had somebody else who did regular fiction novels too.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
We had both of those. And we have another type of artist coming through in November. I still can't wait.
I know we're gonna announce this at the end of this episode.
Okay.
Yeah, in a minute we'll announce that. But yeah, we love artists.
Okay.
All disciplines.
So yeah, you definitely would want to get T Soul on here. He's a really good friend of mine. We went to school together. He's like been through it all in terms of the ups and downs of the industry, have like performed all around the world and remains humble. Kyla Jade, another homegirl of mine. She's based out of Nashville. She is my generation's Lisa Fisher, as far as I'm concerned. Has literally done background, like whatever favorite song that you've had that's come out within the past 10 to 12 years, she's probably the one singing background vocal on it. And she has served as Jennifer Hudson's background vocalist for the past 5 or 6 years. Incredible. Like, her range is ridiculous. Her humility. I'm only going to bring to you people who I like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, don't go up there embarrassing me. You know, people that I
It's all right.
Definitely reach out to T-Soul. Definitely reach out to Kyla. Brittany Wright is an amazing gospel artist who sings inspirational music as well. The list could go on and on and on. I could actually create a whole dossier separately and just send it to you.
Yes, do that.
We do that too.
Yeah.
Do that.
Because we have a working list that we're going through, but keep in mind we're going into a new season starting in January.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so we're always open.
The next season of the show starts January. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We're almost here. I can't believe how quickly this year ran through. Wow. So the first thing I want to do right now is give a round of applause and say thank you to Harvey.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey.
We so appreciate you being here.
Thank you to Kinnicky for bringing you here.
Yay.
Thank you. So next week would normally be Art Plus Therapy with Charity, but we did some schedule changes around so that we can relax Thanksgiving weekend. So next week will be Poets and Platforms with Kaniki. And our special guest is...
You tell them.
I know everybody. Chibi Ordunya, from the host of Right About Now. Yes.
I just met Chibi hosting for Sips.
Yes.
And I was
Chibi's dope.
Absolutely great.
Yeah.
Cannot wait for this conversation next week. An amazing human.
I'm about to say same, an amazing human. So I am excited to have them here. Yes, and then we already previewed it, so I'll throw it out in the universe. Sherry has the not third week because that's Thanksgiving, right?
No, third week, 21st.
Okay, yeah, third week. So third week because we're skipping Thanksgiving. So third week, Sherry is going to have Mamie Brown. And if y'all don't
Miss
know
Mamie
her,
Beats. So we're having a makeup artist.
Beats. She's a makeup artist, and I tell you, this girl's a beast.
Wow,
she's a freaking beast.
Wow.
She's a freaking beast.
A beast. It is. It's just to sit back and watch what she's doing. Y'all come back. Follow her already. She's tagged on our social media. Go follow her already because she just finished.
Everybody's tagged.
Everybody's tagged.
Everybody's
no,
tagged.
Your tag, Harvey, your tag, Mamie's tagged,
Chibi's
tagged. So if you want to know what we're talking about, all of you have your tags on Instagram. So all that stuff's there. Follow these people if you're watching at home. Follow them. Follow them everywhere but home. You know
exactly.
That part.
Follow us at Keep the Mic On. Follow us at Keep the Mic On. That's where everybody is tagged. And we will see you all back again next Sunday, 7 p.m.
Wait.
What?
Did y'all see my haiku I made while y'all was talking about the mumbo sauce?
I did not. I missed it.
I missed it too.
She said, I love there it is. I love mumbo sauce. I love lemon pepper too. Let's make it haiku.
Hey, now, come through. Straight from her conversational email.
Wow.
I'm not even mad.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I have lemon pepper, mumbo sauce, and Old Bay sitting downstairs in my kitchen.
Ooh, come on,
Whoa.
Come through.
I have my favorite mumbo sauce, Uncle Dale's mumbo sauce. If y'all have never had them, oh my god.
Who is it again?
I think it's been a minute.
I'm so glad you asked. Hold on for one quick.
I think just because it's the easiest to get, I got Cap City sitting downstairs. Okay, wait a minute. While he's finding that, I'm gonna throw this in the universe. So for anybody who's not from the DMV, because I know we get people watching all over the place, the whole thing we're talking about here is mumbo sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So mumbo sauce is a it's a regional thing, but you can find it sometimes outside of that. But it is like absolutely delicious on everything. And I do mean everything.
Put that shit on everything.
Everything. Put that shit on everything. Like no one knows exactly what the hell is in it. And trust me, you don't want to ask questions. Just eat this.
This right here.
Okay.
This particular brand. Oh, this is the best mumbo sauce.
Clearly, because you don't have a lot left in the bottle.
But the proof is in the empty damn bottle.
Right.
What is the name of the company?
It's called Uncle Dale's Mumbo Sauce.
Uncle Dale's.
The story behind it, in and of itself, is like amazing. Two youths. Shouts out to my cousin Vinny. Two youths.
I just watched that.
I love saying it. They founded it based upon their uncle's recipe for it, and they basically decided, hey, we're going to become Black entrepreneurs at a young age. I think Niall has to be like what, 22, maybe 23. They're young. They're brothers. It's Niles and what's the other brother's name? Niles and Andy. So the company overall is called Andy's Factory after Andy. Him and his little brother Niles, they decided to go into business for themselves, like teenagers and young 20s, and they have gotten placement in some local grocery stores. with this.
Nice.
And they've been featured on, I believe it's Fox 5, their morning show.
Nice.
I created this amazing festival called the Black to the Future Festival that happened on the last leap year. And I had them come in and do demonstrations for it. And
Y'all quick. I'm telling you, can rule the world. Can rule the world. It's already already the link is already up there. See, when I tell you,
link is in the comments.
That Simply Sharing and
Definitely,
Girl Genius can rule the world.
They do the regular version. They have a spicy version, and they now have a cocktail sauce. So I mean, these Black brothers are like, if I had sons, I would want them to be like Niles and Andy. I promise you that. I promise.
Listen, cabinet standards in this house, like I said, Old Bay hot sauce, Mumbo sauce, some lemon pepper sauce, or the things to make it, one or the other. Those are the cabinet standards.
There it is.
Oh, $7.50 for a bottle. That's not bad. I'm looking at it on the website.
That's not bad at all.
We're gonna have some Mumbo sauce for Thanksgiving, I think. Mumbo sauce.
And some wine.
I promise.
And Sherry.
And
some wine.
And some wine. Always the wine.
And some wine.
Sure, 2 things for certain. I will only ever turn you on to the good stuff.
Okay.
Once you try this,
I appreciate
you. Swear you at the Yums on 14th Street in Northwest. I promise you that.
Bet.
I promise you that.
Oh, yes.
I promise you that.
He said the Yums on 14th Street. Oh, God, it's been a hot minute. Yes.
I promise you.
Okay. All right, we're going to
go ahead and close out as we always do. Everyone, please stay safe. Wash your hands.
Be safe.
Wash your hands. Come back and see us next week.
Don't trust nobody.
True. I agree. And we will see you all back next week. Good night. Bye.
Good night.